변신 화려하게 빛나는 물의 총알 퓨어 아쿠아 등장
7K dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at Mythical Awakened Tara. She's finally back in the meta and I can't wait to talk about her. I'm using a very unique team whereby Aleem is used. Aleem has been, away for a while and I don't really like him, but I'm gonna use him just to show you guys that there's a lot of potential with Tara's passive. Her passive is very interesting. She increases status effect cast rate for all magic allies by 20%. She's kind of the first hero who increases status effect cast rate but only for magic allies. But as you know, for a while now, magic units have a lot of status effects, especially with the recent remade Skuld and Noah. And in my case here, I'm trying out Aleem, who is a magic hero with the most number of status effects. He has Burn, Silence and Bleed, I believe. So who else can you guys try? Think about Battery, Da Qiao, who we will see in a later match. These heroes have status effects which are not commonly resisted against, and it really opens up the playing field for them to be used. Of course, Tara also has a combination passive with Noah, which is refreshing. The first time we saw this was with Zahara, who had a combination passive with Pentagon members. With Noah, she reduces physical damage taken by magic type allies by 40%. Now this is quite a big deal considering how magic units are pretty much glass cannons. So to clarify, as long as an enemy uses physical weapons, they will be affected by this passive debuff. So it even includes Galidus and Chris and not just against offensive heroes. So before we go on talking about her skills, I'm gonna just look at this match right now. As you can see, Aleem is going out with his Burn. It casts Burn on Mist and another enemy right there, so having 20% buff to his default 30% is 50% chance to burn, and on top of that you have Fighter's Soul, you have Mythical Awakened crit weapons, you have traits. All these just stack on and on and on and increase your status effect cast rate to a pretty good amount. Okay, and over here Noah is just going with her stun, which pretty much killed the team. Her effect attack also stuns the enemy over here, which is great. Aleem cast the Bleed, and I think Aleem won the match for us over here, which is great because he actually lived, and I think that's also thanks to the the passive by Tara, which gives him a lot more bulk, because as we know, he is not the bulkiest hero and he does revive, which is also great. So yeah, back to Tara. For Tara's skill before transformation, she deals 200% magic damage to all enemies and 60% chance to suffocate the enemies for 5 times, and also increases skill cooldown by 15 seconds. So this is quite crazy because it's been a while since we had an AoE skill which actually increases skill cooldown. So this could potentially lock out an entire enemy turn if they do not have immunity or awakened skills. And her awakened skill also has a skill cooldown increase effect. Also, her 60% chance to suffocate is only the base rate, not including her own 20% buff from her passive. So it's actually already 80%. So here my Aleem is casting the Burn on enemies who are already burned. So this really just stacks out a lot of damage over time, especially when my enemies are being hit with my skills. Okay, that will just keep adding up, and now he's gonna use the Silence. Unfortunately, my Mist is dead. Okay, and we'll talk about Mist later. The reason why I even put Mist in this team is to buff my crit rate and lethal rate if she uses her skills. So that's the only reason why I have her. I could use Skuld, and we'll look at that later using another team. I have 2 teams in this video, so stay tuned for that. So far, Tara has died, unfortunately, and we'll observe her later in the next match. She will definitely do a lot more. Basically, after she transforms, her skill actually does a lot more damage, ignores 50% defense, and also suffocates at 100% rate. Okay, she also decreases block rate by 50% for 4 turns. So this is an insanely good skill which isn't even limited to PvP, and I'm not sure where we can use her, maybe even in Heavenly Stairs, but I think the potential is right there. The potential is definitely there. So this is the third match with the Aleem team. Mist is my attack leader, by the way. And as you can see here, Noah uses her skill and this causes burn. So Noah has burn and stun, both at 20% increase rate. So that's going to be very efficient for her to land all the statuses, and Aleem here casts the burn as well, so there's a lot of burn going on. And there's also enemy Da Qiao, who I mentioned has the potential to fit into Tara teams. So Da Qiao does have paralyze, which you will see in a while, and that is absolutely crazy. So over here, this is the paralyzing skill, and I don't have paralyze resist. I mean, who has paralyze resist right now? So only my Noah managed to survive that, and luckily she did, and she's able to transform here. So when she transforms, she actually cleanses the entire team of debuff, so that's very good. And hopefully she is able to land the stun on the enemy. Now that Mist has used her skill, she increases crit rate for my team for 6 turns, and I think she's pretty much okay to die right now. Yeah, she died. So we'll look at the damage my Aleem does, okay? Crit is definitely there. He managed to silence quite a few enemies, I believe. And here we have Noah's stun. So all these are buffed with Tara's help. Okay, their utility goes up a lot with Tara's help, even though Tara is only using her skill right now. So as much as I want to, talk about her suffocation, the enemies are pretty much already dead, so there's nothing much to talk about for now. We'll look at her skill later on, as well as her builds. Here she transforms. I mean, Tara has always been our first Magic Academy girl, and she came to Global exclusively first. So I think she has a special place in a lot of players' hearts. And I'm really glad that they have given her this skill set, because I really think it's good. Right now, we have a Silence Milia going up against 4 of my team, and hopefully Aleem earns us the kill. And he does, from the burn. She died from the burn, okay? So that's so important. Burn is so important. So moving on, we have another team. The next team is gonna be the typical magic team with Skuld and Rin. And over here, Noah is my attack leader. So Tara goes first using her suffocation skill, and here you can observe the suffocation damage. You notice that when the enemy tail countered, suffocation already procced. So whenever the enemy inflicts damage or receives damage, suffocation will proc, and it just chips off the HP of their units by a lot every turn. Especially coupled with Noah's burn, okay, it's gonna take off a lot of damage. Look at that. In just 30 seconds, 40 seconds of the match, they're already down to half health. So that is pretty insane, I would say. Especially if you have Aleem. Aleem uses his burn as well, then there's gonna be even more burn around. The only thing you need to be worried about is that when there are very strong attacks from enemy Mist, enemy Cult. Okay. So we're gonna talk about Tara's builds here, because build is very important. Tara is more of a utility support hero who chips away HP with suffocation, so I'm really glad they didn't remove that. And I've personally given her crit and lethal similar to damage dealers because I think her AoE multipliers are actually decent, and she can also deal a good amount of damage. So you can also opt for double crit on her to further enhance her status effect cast rate as well. For her armor, I've given her double HP for more bulk. She's honestly really frail, and I'm not too sure how much block she needs to be good, so I just went with typical 2 HP. And right now you see this is her skill after the transformation. You can see that it does 78,000 on one enemy if there's lethal and crit. So can you imagine how much damage that would do if she did it to an entire team? Crazy. So for her jewels, I've given her increased skill use chance, increased awakening gauge, and also lethal rate. So skill use chance is used because of the utility of her skills, and also because I hope she uses her skills for the sake of this review. And awakening gauge is so that she can transform faster and become even more OP. For accessory, I've given her Guardian Ring and Hide. The Guardian Ring is used so that she won't die to an AoE from the beginning, especially if an enemy Milia fires off an attack. So Hide is of course to give her even more protection so that she will not be countered by Mist, who hits really hard. And for her traits, I've given her Silence, Resist, Freeze, Resist, and Skill Use Chance. So Silence and Freeze are both to go up against the 27k of O's. Unfortunately, it's hard to have a complete resistance against all status effects at this point. You can choose to give her Electrify, Resist, or Bleed to go against Eileen and Mist respectively. So some thoughts about this team which I have are that Rin seems a little slow because Rin has a single target and a 3-man. On her basic skills, only her AoE hits for 5-man. And that's the reason why I feel that using her may not let you deal a lot of widespread damage compared to the other damage dealers. I mean, just look at Milia, Tara and Skuld and Noah. If you see their skills, they are all 5-man AoE, which I feel that, you know, Rin kind of lacks over there. And here we have Milia versus Milia. I mean, that's typical. Yeah, so I feel that Rin may not be very good in the current meta, especially when there's a lot of heroes who do AoE damage. She just can't keep up in that case. Okay? And I would suggest if you want to use a magic team, you may need to tweak a bit and maybe lower her skill use chance because she's really right there for the passive. What you want is Noah and Tara and other units to do more skills. So just to summarize about Tara, basically I think she hits really hard when geared well, but otherwise she doesn't rely on her attack for damage, but more of using her suffocation and also supporting other status effect magic users like Noah who hits hard. Her buff is not fantastic, but that's understandable because she is a magic unit after all, and I think all in all she is a great unit. Status effect cast rate increase for magic allies really just adds so much to magic teams. Hopefully we will see newer magic units like Arang who join the meta if ever, or simply just more remakes of heroes over time. And for a hero like this, she definitely creates a much more diverse arena meta because now you have status effect casting teams, you have pure magic damage teams with Rin and Skuld, you have 7k, you have 7 Knight of O teams, you have physical teams. I can only imagine how crazy the lower tier arena could be. And she hasn't used her skill, I think. So my Noah actually is pretty active, which I don't mind at all because Noah's skill is really good. And the lower Noah's HP falls, the stronger she gets, so it's totally okay. I think right now she is pretty much at her strongest. Hopefully see Tara move a bit more because I really would love to see suffocation. I know that sounded quite sadistic, but she's finally gonna transform. This increases enemy cooldown by 20 seconds, so enemy is only resorting to normal attacks right now as you can see. And yeah, I basically shut down that whole turn. And Rin is going for the single target kill on Milia here. I guess that is her best time to shine. When there's only one unit left, she better use that skill. So let me know in the comments what you think of Tara, and even if you will be using her at all, or will you stick to the physical team which has lasted for a while. So stay tuned for more guys, thank you so much and see you!